So it has come to my attention that you guys like Notion videos, so I thought it would be fun if we could do a build with me on Notion. Specifically, let's build together a master content calendar. If you're wondering what exactly we're building today, a master content calendar is especially for my creative friends out there who are managing multiple platforms. Maybe you've got Instagram, maybe you've got YouTube, maybe you've even got Facebook or something. I don't know. Whatever content platforms that you are on, and you want everything to be in one space. You probably already know this, but on Notion, you can't really have separate content calendars. Let's say one content calendar for Instagram and one content calendar for YouTube, and then mesh them together into a master calendar. It just doesn't have that consolidation feature just yet. And I guess this is my solution to that. We're going to be creating a master Notion calendar. So everything is going to live in one database, in just one table or list or whatever you want to call it. And then we're just going to put in filters, a lot of properties, etc., so that we can manage things and view things one at a time if we want it. It'll get clearer as we go, so let's go ahead and get started. So I've got over here on my Notion right now a blank page, and I'm just gonna call it master content calendar. You can name yours whatever you want, and let's make this fun. Let's add a cover and an emoji just because I really like doing that. So we're gonna go ahead to a database, because what we're going to do is create a master database, and we're not actually going to create a calendar just yet. What we actually want to do is the calendar is going to come later. We're going to introduce it as a view, but to set things up, we're going to start with the table. So go ahead, set up your table, and let's make this first one maybe the title or topic, whatever. That's basically like the content that you're making, right? And things we want things to go is we want to be able to have multiple content for multiple platforms on here. For this example, I'm going to keep it simple just so we can make this video quick. So I want to focus on just two platforms for now, which is YouTube and Instagram, but you can add as many as you want depending on how many platforms you have, such as podcasting, blogs, etc. So to do that, I would recommend, this is how I usually do it, is having a select property, and then each of the options are going to be our content platform. So like I said, we're going to do YouTube, and the second one is going to be Instagram. The reason why we're choosing a select feature is because we don't want it to be multi-select, because generally when you're going to create content, it's one piece of content for one specific platform. So we're just going to go ahead and stick to that. If you are a person who repurposes content, you share your YouTube videos on your Instagram, etc., my recommendation is you create a separate item here on your database and then just tag it for Instagram. So we've got our tags set up. And now let's say you want to go the extra mile. You don't just want to see two, like what platforms they're on. You actually want to maintain, you want to manage, I guess, statuses of your different content. Let's say some of them are just ideas. You haven't fleshed them out yet. Some of them you want to outline. Some of them you have to shoot or you have to create graphics for. So that's what we're going to focus on today. How I usually do it is I know that I have a separate process for filming YouTube videos, for doing blog posts, for podcasting and Instagram. So what I would do, if you want to follow along with my process, is I'll create a property specific to that a particular platform. So let's say I'm going to do Instagram first. I'm going to set this up. The property type is going to be a select again. I usually name it something like IG pipeline. That's just what I call it because I want to know where it is in the pipeline. So just examples of what that means for me. It might be idea, graphics needed, caption needed, and finally to schedule. So let me just show you all of these again. So this is just like how I generally tend to view Instagram ideas. So whenever I have an idea, I jot things down. Automatically, the first thing that it does get assigned to is an idea because that's where it starts. And then I move on to graphics usually, and then captions last, and then scheduling it on my scheduling app no matter what I use. So this is just to help me know where things are, where specific content is in the calendar. And of course, since this is content calendar, we will be adding a date property down the line, but I just do that last because that's really simple anyway. So let's go to this one and let's go set up our YouTube. We don't want anything on this because this is the IG pipeline property. So we're going to create a new one. It's going to be the exact same. It's going to be a select. However, we're going to call this YouTube pipeline. And then the process for creating, for me, Instagram posts is different from creating a YouTube video. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down those processes again. So for me, a YouTube video process goes idea, outline, needed, to shoot, to edit, and finally scheduled. Personally, the reason I include idea instead of just going straight to outline needed is because sometimes I'm kind of just keeping ideas for the sake of keeping them, and they're not necessarily things that are ready to be moved down. But when I am ready to move things down from idea, take it seriously, actually produce this video, I will move it to outline needed. So just letting you know what the difference is in my process. So what you're going to want to do now is go ahead and fill it out with as many content platforms as you might already want to be managing inside of this master calendar. So for blogs, you're going to create a blog pipeline, maybe outlining, writing the draft, pre-publishing checks, etc. For podcasting, the same thing. I'm going to assume that we've done all of that just now. So let's go and move on to the rest of our properties, and then we'll finally see how things work together and how we can filter this out and see how this can be our master calendar moving forward. So like I mentioned, we're going to be adding a date because the date is an important thing. For me, date means the date that I want to be publishing this. So it's not the date that I'm going to work on it, it's the date that I'm actually going to be publishing this. So ideally, I'm going to have tasks in my to-do list that basically tells me I have to work on these things before they're published. So that's a separate thing for another thing. I also have a video on how I manage all of these things, all of these tasks with my content calendar in another video. So I'll go ahead and link to that. For now, we're just going to keep things simple. This is only a master calendar. You know what? I'm going to call it publish date because that's just less confusing. And we're going to hit OK. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some examples for maybe a few YouTube and Instagram post ideas in this calendar, and then we are going to finally transform it into the master calendar that we want to be looking at month after month, week after week. So let's just go with idea number 1. That's kind of boring. Let me give it an actual post name, like quotes about self-love. I love self-love. We all love love. YouTube video ideas. I'm not sure what the good YouTube video idea is. Maybe llamas versus alpacas. What's the difference? And then I'm gonna add maybe one more YouTube video. And here's why you should pet an alpaca. So that's gonna be cool. And then I'm gonna add one more Instagram idea just for the heck of it. Llama names for your new llama. These examples are incredibly weird. So let's go ahead and actually start adding some filters to this thing just so we can see how things are actually going to be used on a day-to-day basis. Because right now, this is not how you would want to be managing your content calendar. You don't want a list of things mixed up with like Instagram, YouTube in between, then more Instagram and more YouTube blogs, whatever. You want to be able to sort through different platforms, through different ideas, through different, I guess, content pieces in whatever platform that they're in. So what we have now is the master content list. It's not a calendar just yet. So what we want to do is if we want to view this as a calendar, we're going to add a view. Go over here to calendar, and you can call it whatever you want. You can just call it all content. That's what I usually call it. Create. Looking at it right now, because we haven't set things up yet, it's very plain. You don't really know what's an IG post. You don't really know what's a YouTube post. So to fix that, what you want to do is hit properties and then toggle on the tags. Because remember, our tags was basically the platform. You can rename this property, by the way, to platform. Depends on you. So this particular view is really great for seeing what needs to be published on what specific day of the week. But what if you want to use this list as a way to know the status of each content piece? You want to know which things still need to be outlined. You want to know what things you need to shoot, what things you need to produce, images, videos, editing, all that stuff. And let me show you how we can do that using extra views and filtering. So the first example is we'll probably do an Instagram content view. So you can choose whatever view you want, but for simplicity's sake, I'm going to keep it as a table. And what we're going to call this view is the IG planning, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, production. And then we're going to hit create. And what you're going to see here right away when it populates, it's going to be whatever you made before. It's just a repeat of that. The magic here happens when we actually start filtering things out. So when you go here, click filter, add a filter. And now what if I want to be able to see all my IG posts, no matter what the status is? So the simplest way to do that is to just add a filter where the tag, or if you call this platform, is Instagram. What that does is it's only going to show you Instagram. This is pretty redundant. Like I've already filtered this to be Instagram only posts, and you don't want to see that particular column in your Notion anymore. Just unclick this and it'll disappear and you're fine. And you can also make things, hidden if you don't want to see them. For example, this isn't a YouTube view, so I don't want to see a YouTube pipeline over there. So what you can actually do and what I recommend is if you're going to be batching content, you can actually add more filters so that what you can do is view different content based on their status. So I'm going to show you how that works, but to do that, I'm going to add a few more examples to this Instagram content calendar. So let's just say I only want to work on my Instagram posts that need graphics. So I want to batch that. What we can do is go back to the filter view and then add a filter. I've already done that. And then go ahead and click on IG pipeline. And then you can select whatever it is, whatever status you want to only focus on. So you're going to hit that. The beauty of this is you're going to see exactly only the posts that are for IG and only for the stuff that needs graphics. So you can easily work on things, and then as you click things off, as you finish things, you can move them down to the next step in your production process, in your batching process, whatever your process is. So if I'm done with all of this and all of them need captions now, I can just go back to my filter and then change the IG pipeline filter to is from graphics needed to the next step that I want to batch, which is captioning. So we're going to click that, and then we're going to see everything that needs captioning. However, if you're not really into batching or you just can't sustain that, then you can just feel free to remove this filter. You don't need to add it in at all. I'm just letting you know what options you might have. So that's us making a view for one specific platform. So let's just do it with one more time with another platform so you can see how to do it with all your other platforms depending on what you have in your master content calendar. So let's go ahead and go to this button here. We're going to add a new view. Let's say I'm going to plan out my YouTube videos, and for a lot of people, a lot of us, we actually like viewing our videos, etc., either as, for me, I like tables, but for a lot of people, they like having it in a board list. So we're just gonna stick to that. So I'm gonna call it YT YouTube Planning, create. And again, it's gonna populate what we already made before. And as you might see here, you're being shown different columns based on the platform. That's not what we want, right? We want to be able to view things by their YouTube stage. We want to see if what needs outlining, what needs shooting, editing, etc. So to fix that, we're going to go here to group by, and right now it's set the tags. If you remember, tags are the YouTube, the Instagram, blog, podcast, TikTok, whatever you might have there. And we're going to change it to YouTube pipeline. This is what we really wanted to see because we want to only see things on YouTube right here. And as you can see here, these are actually some of my Instagram posts. So what I haven't done yet is I haven't filtered that out. So let's go ahead and do just that. So we're going to click filter, add filter, only is tags is YouTube, and there you go. Everything from Instagram or basically anything that isn't YouTube just disappeared. So I've shown you how to do it for Instagram, for YouTube, but you can feel free to do this as many times as you need to be able to match your planning process, your creation style, and add as many platforms as you might want to manage all in one. So just to wrap things up, this view, this calendar view where all of the platforms are seen here, this is the most useful, I'd say, if you wanted to view things at a top level, plan things out, figure out dates, see how all the content you might have placed around together, stuff like that. And then you can go to your different filtered out views per different platform to actually manage the day-to-day and production. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you in creating a master content calendar so that you're not viewing different calendars, different databases all at once. If this was helpful, be sure to let me know if you have learned anything new, and I'll see you in my next Notion video very soon. Bye!